Everyone, it's Kathleen at Crafts by Kathleen. I sure hope that you're able to hear me better. I'm trying something new using the AirPods, and it's supposed to clear up all of the sound and everything, and make it so that the taping is a lot more clearer. So today, we're going to be doing our Cards and Coffee recap from this week. So Mondays and Tuesdays every week at 10:30, we have Cards and Coffee. It's only $5. You make a card using something new here at the shop or a new technique that I may have learned. So this is working more with acetate. I've been doing some acetate cards lately, and I'm really enjoying them. I hope you are too. And if you're not enjoying them, I'm hoping that it's at least inspiring you to try something a little bit different and new, because you can use any of these elements that I'm using for these cards to do something else. But the acetate to me is really um, giving it a nice wow factor. So I hope you're finding the same thing. All right, so this is the card that we did this week for Cards and Coffee. It's a very simple card. It's quick and easy, and I wanted to even have everything prepared so that I can put the card together. I've got the measurements in the directions or in the comments, instructions, I don't know, whatever it is on here. And I'm using a couple of different platforms, so I don't really want to say any of the platform names because apparently that's frowned upon. But you know me. I'm sure I'll mess it up at some point. All right, so this is the acetate card that we did this week, and we layered some snowflakes. So this is all from Gina K. These are the Gina K snowflakes die cuts that are sold in the individual dies. It doesn't come with a stamp or anything. It's just snowflake die cuts. And then this is the snowflake embossing folder. I've done all the die cutting and embossing for you so that I'm just going to put the card together. And the reason I'm kind of doing that is because I want to see how long people are watching the videos. Some of the longer videos, I know that there's only a few minutes on some of the people's attention spans. So this one I just want to put together for you. So I've got everything cut, and again, the measurements are listed in the description. That's what the word I was looking for. All right, so I'm going to show you how we do this. The first thing is the base. The base is going to be this darker purple, and then the mats are going to be in this lighter purple. The base of the card is 7 inches by 4 1/4, and then you're going to score it at 1 1/2 inches, okay? And then you're going to cut off another 1 1/2 inches by 4 1/4. Now, 1 1/2 plus 7 is 8 1/2. So if you take your cardstock and instead of cutting it in half at 5 1/2, cut it at 4 1/4. When you cut that 1.5 inches off, or when you cut that 7 inches off, that's going to automatically give you that 1.5 inches that you need here. All right, so you've got, this is your base, the 7 by 4 1/4 and 1.5 inches by 4 1/4. I've cut out quite a few snowflakes. I did some in purple and I did some in white. That way you have a little bit of extra depth that you can use there. And then the mats are 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. This is the inside mat. That's going to get glued here on the inside. And then these are the two outside mats. This is going to get glued, one on the top here and then one on this extra piece that we cut off. And they're 4 1/8 by 4 1/8 by 1 3/8. Okay, so let's put this together. Now, the acetate that I cut, if you can see it, is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. That's actually going to make the front of your A2 card. So this piece here, the 7 by 4 1/4, this is going to be the back of your acetate card. So we're going to take our glue here, and we're going to just put some glue on that 1 1/2 inch section that we scored on the 7 inch base. And then I'm going to put my acetate in here and close that down, making sure that everything's nice and even. We're going to just rub that in there. And the acetate, again, I'm using reptile glue and I swear by it. The acetate is very slippery, so it takes just a little more attention, but I'm telling you, this reptile glue works perfectly with the acetate. All right, so we've got the acetate now glued in so that that's the front of the card. Everything's nice and even, and then your cardstock is the back of the card, and of course the hinge that's holding onto your acetate. Now we're going to take that 1.5 by 4.25 extra piece that came off. Remember, 8.5 is 7 inches plus 1.5 inches. And we're going to glue that to the bottom of the acetate. So we're just going to put some more of the reptile glue on here. And we're going to pay it the same amount of attention as we paid to that flap. Let me move this out of the way. And we're just going to attach that right here to the bottom of the acetate. Okay, and I like to really work it in there. Make sure everything's nice and adhered. All right, so this is your card base. So it kind of makes it look like the snowflake that we're going to put on here is going to be floating. All right, so this is the card base. You've got an A2 size card here. The front is the acetate with your flap and then the extra piece, and the back here is from that 7 inches. All right, now we're going to adhere the inside mat. Now I didn't do anything to the inside mat. You can put some white cardstock on there to do a sentiment. I really like this card to be left alone on the inside. So here's the card. I would put the sentiment and signature on the back here so that they can just stand this up on a mantle or something and just make it kind of a decoration. But it's up to you. You can put the sentiment on the inside, make it kind of small so that it hides behind the snowflake. Or you can do what I was thinking and do it right on the back. All right, now these pieces that are embossed, these are going to get put right on top of the 1.5 by 4.25 section. So these are 1 3/8 by 4 1/8, so that you have a nice little dark purple border going around the edge. Okay. And that should all line up so that everything's in perfect order there. All right, so now we're going to glue this one here to the bottom. Okay, and then all we have left to do is put our snowflake together. So what I did, like I was saying, you can do it just with one big snowflake and put that on here. That looks nice. You can do that. But what I did was I layered a few of them. So I've got the 3 from Gina K, and then I had this little tiny snowflake die. I have no idea where it came from. It might have been in something else of Gina K's, but it was in with my snowflakes, and I said, oh, that's perfect just to go right on top. So I can do white, purple, white, purple. All right, so we're going to take our snowflake and put it together. So I've got my my larger snowflake here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right around the center there. And then I want to offset the way that my snowflake goes. So I have these larger snowflake arms, and I don't want to cover them, so I offset that. And then I've got this other white one. Now this one will sit right on top here. So I'm going to put a little more glue right around the center. And you notice I'm not gluing the arms down because I want them to have some lift. And I don't know if arms are the correct verbiage to use for the snowflakes, but that's what I'm calling them, little arms. All right. And then I'm going to put this little purple one right on top of that. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue around the center, and I'm going to lie this one right on top of that. So see how it's got some dimension? All right, now we're going to put that right there on top of the acetate. So what I'm going to do is flip it over, and you don't want a lot of glue because it will show through the back of the acetate because it's clear. I'm going to just put a few dots around the center and then one on each of these longer arms, one dot. All right, And then I'm going to lie this down on the card so that it's right on the top. Okay, making sure it's centered in there. And then I'm going to press each one of those larger arms down. Okay, kind of let that dry. Then I've got some of the frozen rhinestones from Gina K. And I'm going to put one of them right there in the center. Okay. And they're in different sizes, the frozen rhinestones, so I'm going to use one of the larger ones. And I'm just going to put a dot right there in the center. I'm going to get this so that the back is there. I should have brought my little stick tool in here to do that. All right, there we go. Get down there. Stop sticking to my finger. All right. All right, and that's it. So this is a really easy, quick card to put together. If you're going to do quite a few of them, what I would do is sit and cut out all of my snowflakes, and then I would sit and put them all together. Once you have all of the little pieces cut out, this card goes together super fast, all right? And it does have a nice little wow factor. On this one, I use the frozen rhinestone, so you can see it right there. See that sparkle in the middle? On this one, I used a kind of a lilac type of a rhinestone. Well, I guess it's not a rhinestone if it's lilac. All right, so that was Cards and Coffee for this week. I hope that I have either taught you something new or inspired you to get out some snowflake dies and play. I hope to have everyone here, either live or here at the shop or live on the internet on Friday, tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock, because I have the launch of my very own brand new paper line, and I'm super excited to show it. And we've got some projects already uh, on the calendar and in the works for the paper line, so I'm really excited about that. I also have another influencer that's out there that wants to do a collab with me on one of the paper lines that she fell in love with, the one of the new paper lines that I'm launching. So I'm really looking forward to that and hope to see you here. I'll talk to you all again real soon. Bye bye.